to Optometry Unleashed. I'm your host, Dr. Trevor Miranda. In this episode, we're talking about myopia, but we're going to mix things up a little bit. As eye care professionals, sometimes we get caught up in the clinical side of things, but behind every prescription is a real person. And in this case, that person is actually one of my patients, Stu Hillyard. Stu's story might sound familiar. Glasses as a kid, stronger prescriptions over time, but he's going to share firsthand experience of how myopia impacted his life, including a retinal detachment that could have cost him his sight, highlighting why conversations about myopia management are so important. Stu, thanks for joining me. Let's start at the beginning. When did you first start noticing challenges with your vision?
It was probably in grade 9. In the classroom, probably this is a common theme, and I couldn't see the board well until I squinted a little bit, and then I think it went from there. I went to the eye doctor, and so the journey started.
Yeah, and do you feel like you even had myopia before grade 9? Did you feel like you weren't seeing then? Were you getting your eyes checked regularly?
I'd have to say no. I wasn't getting them checked regularly, and I don't recall any big issues. I used to play relatively high-level goaltending or rep hockey, and I was a goaltender. I think my teammates probably suggested I had bad eyesight before that, but I didn't really notice anything until I was sitting in the classroom, a decent ways back, and the letters just weren't super sharp or clear, and the letters were clear from my buddies, so...
You must have been an amazing goaltender to not be able to see, but be able to react well. I guess I need the goalies I play against on Monday nights to have a little poorer vision because they seem to be stopping my shots right now.
I think actually it is a lot of guessing in that sport. My reflexes aren't particularly fast, but it's more prediction than anything. So yeah, that might be true.
Do you remember your first pair of glasses? Like, how did you feel when you first got them?
I do. It's one of those things where I had a distinct memory. It was downtown Duncan. I can't remember the name of the store now. The person put them on my face and she said, "Now go outside and look at trees." And oh my God, when I looked at the trees, all of a sudden there was all those details, the needles and so on that, over time and as my eyesight was deteriorating slightly, you just didn't notice that. But man, when it comes back again, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's amazing perceptually, right? Your brain doesn't realize sometimes that you should be seeing better. And this also often happens in developing countries too, where I've gone to these countries and examined people, sometimes children, sometimes adults, and they have high prescriptions and they never realized that was not normal. So sometimes that's the big issue, is just getting kids to come in because they're just coping and they think it's normal for them. And there's something really beautiful about that first time somebody puts on a pair of glasses. You always kind of remember it, and to watch it, it's so cool. And to watch somebody with higher myopia or higher nearsightedness is also so fulfilling. So 30 years ago, the standard of care for myopia was just basically prescribe glasses, the full prescription, and then check them again next year and the next year, and then change the prescription to a higher and higher power to improve their vision. And so it wasn't about mitigating the myopia. It wasn't about trying to slow down the progression. And now we have management techniques to control myopia. And just to frame it up a little bit, myopia, so everybody understands what that means. The light focuses in front of the retina. A spectacle lens is used to push the light to focus on the retina. So those patients are called nearsighted. That means they can see near and they can't see far away. It's a little bit counterintuitive. But the goal in myopia management is to control the axial length, so the length of the eyeball. So as you become more myopic, the length of the eyeball is growing. So there are ways now to mitigate growth of axial length, therefore slowing down myopia progression, therefore reducing the risk of degenerations, retinal detachments, which we're going to talk about, and other macular degeneration, other later stage adult onset pathologies that can be devastating to your vision. So the goal is reduce the myopia and thus reduce later life vision loss. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the retina. Tell us about you know the symptoms and what was happening just before your retinal detachment happened.
Yeah, so it was a funny situation, I've sort of thought about it leading up to this. So I was running a little bit. I was also digging fence post holes with one of those steel bars, where you bang it down. And I don't know if those would have any bearing on anything, but I remember one Sunday night I was having a shower, and I just noticed something out of the corner of my eye, and again, I don't know if that's related or not. And nothing came of it, nothing happened, and the week went on, and then I was marking. One class was writing a test, and another had done it already, and I was marking it. And it's a Friday afternoon, and all of a sudden it was like these bugs were flying around my face, and I knew they weren't. And so I'd look up, and they would be up there and then down there, and I'm like, oh, you told me enough times about what to look for. I'm like, oh no. And so I think I called your office, got an appointment, and it was Dr. Clark saw me after school, and she's like, Dr. Miranda, can you just have a look at this? And so you took one look and like, yep. And then you sent me to, might be Dr. McGregor in town, and he has a look and he goes, yep. And he makes a phone call and comes back and says, yeah, tomorrow morning, go to, it might have been Vic General, to see Dr. Erasmus. And so, so that was it. There was zero pain. You had no idea, except it looked like the bugs were flying around. So that's how I knew it had started, and it was just from straight education from you and your other doctors there telling me what to watch out for and so on.
Yeah, and that's very observant. So I want to just unpack a little bit there. So the retina is like wallpaper on your wall. It lines the back of your retina. If you are more myopic with a longer axial length, a longer eyeball, your retina is stretched, almost like as you blow a balloon up bigger, you get a little bit thinner of the material of the balloon, right? Sometimes you can have a tear or a break. It can result in some of the blood cells being released into the vitreous cavity, so they look like little bugs floating about. Sometimes it's associated with flashing lights. The key to treating a retinal detachment is to seal it up, almost tack weld it up so that gravity won't pull it off. So you're very astute to be aware of the symptoms, to come in and get help quickly so we can seal the retina back up and prevent more of it tearing off, like gravity would pull a wallpaper off the wall or a poster or something like that. And that we can, prevent devastating vision loss. In fact, I've had patients, Stu, that they just ignore those symptoms for months, actually, and think. I've had patients to be on vacation and think, oh, I'm going to go see them in 6 months. Maybe I need some new reading glasses. Something's wrong with my eye, instead of it being an emergency situation. So a retinal detachment is an emergency, and we need care quickly because we need to prevent the whole retina coming off, especially the center we call the macular area. That's the part you see the best with. So thankfully, in your case, you were aware of what symptoms of retinal detachment, and you sought help, and we got treatment and preserved the vision of that eye.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thinking about having a retinal detachment, do you think about that in your other eye? Are you aware of? Are you watching for symptoms?
Oh, yeah, always. I've got in both eyes, especially the right eye now, I've got floaters everywhere. So if it's a clear day and I look up in the blue sky, I'm like, oh goodness, I hope that's just a floater. So yeah, no, I'm always aware of it. In life, you manage risks, right? Whether you're driving, skiing, mountain biking, you manage risks, and you're just aware of what could happen. And it's the same thing. You're just like, yeah, this, I'm paying attention to it, and if it happens, I know that I can, hopefully get it fixed up quickly.
Yeah, it's a really important message that we want to get out there to make sure, hey, listen, if something's different, get it checked in a timely manner so that we can, make sure it doesn't become devastating to the vision loss. And your recovery was quite quick. Tell us.
So the procedure was interesting. So I'm at Vic, I think it was Vic General. Yeah, it was. My wife and I are waiting, obviously need a driver. And so this guy comes in in like jeans and a t-shirt. And that was the eye doctor. And he's like, it was a suit. I think he was by himself. There's nobody else in the clinic. And he lays me down on the bed and he goes, how nervous are you? I'm like, I'm okay. I'm not wigging out or anything. And he's like, okay, good. We'll just do this. And so he goes, the only painful part, I'm gonna freeze your eye. I'll put a little needle in your cheek. And I'll never forget. He goes, it's gonna feel like your eye is gonna pop out of your head, but it won't. I'm like, okay. And he was right. It felt like it was like it's getting tighter and tighter. And I'm like, oh no. And then all of a sudden it goes numb and then you can't feel much. And yeah, he's, you can feel something is going on and he's spending some time there. And yeah, he froze. You'll know far more than I. He froze, I think, around where the detachment was. And then he injected what I think is a propane bubble in my eye so that it floated up. I'd have to tilt my head to the side so it floated up and pushed against the retina and against the freezing, I'm guessing, to hold the retina in place. And yeah, so I'm going to guess it was like less than an hour. I got my face bandaged up and he's like, yeah, lay on your right side for 55 minutes out of every hour for the next 7 days. And so, yeah, so there I was walking out of the hospital with my eye bandaged up and not quite sure what's happened to me. And then interestingly, of course, with the gas bubble in the eye, air pressure affects it. And so he's like, yeah, and you can't drive over the Malahat. You're going to have to take the ferry home. So the Brentwood Bay ferry. So it's one of those things. I was laying on my side in the little Toyota Echoes, like all cramped up in the back seat. And I said to my wife, I'm like, oh man, I haven't had a feeling like this since I got hit in the face with a volleyball at a tournament. And because I remember you guys had asked me every year, like, hey, has there been any trauma to your eye? I'm like, no, I haven't been hit at all. My eye's been fine. It was after the thing where I finally remembered. Oh yeah, and it was years before, but I'm sure that had an impact, literally and figuratively.
Absolutely. Yes, it can actually. That trauma, that sort of concussive trauma, can cause a weakness in the retina that may not appear till years later as well. So it's interesting. Yeah, that gas bubble is used, as you said, to keep the retina pressure down, to kind of seal it, almost like a Band-Aid. But it's a gas bubble that dissolves over time. It's quite fascinating. That bubble goes away, which is interesting as well. I'm so happy that you got the quick care and a quick recovery. And then I want you to talk me through cataract. What happened after that, and how long did that take to you to develop a cataract?
Oh, it was years and years. I don't know the dates, Trevor. I don't know when I had my detachment. It had to be like way more than like probably 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing. And yeah, and then probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I wasn't seeing well out of my left eye. And of course I go to you guys and someone goes, yeah, you got a cataract in your left eye. And I'm like, oh man, I think it was Dr. Clark. And she's like, well, we'll watch it. It will make your vision worse. And then at some point it'll get bad enough. They'll do a cataract surgery and put a lens in. And so that's how it started. And I think it was a few years after that, it got really bad where my vision in my left eye couldn't be corrected. And so then I went to Dr. Ramstead in Duncan. And so, yeah. And again, it was interesting surgery because you're fully awake, except your eye isn't numb and you can see out of it still. And again, same thing. I didn't look at exactly, I didn't look online what they actually did, but it's just wild what happens. And so, yeah, so you're in there for like literally 10 minutes. They put a new lens in your eye, dissolve. I think they dissolve and suck the old one out now. I might be completely wrong there.
With cataract surgery, just to clarify, cataract surgery is they take out your lens, your existing lens that's clouded, and for various reasons it's clouded. Did you get cataract surgery in both eyes?
Yeah.
Balance you up, right? Was there a cataract in the right eye as well?
Yeah, there was eventually, and it actually happened really rapidly. It went from okay, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, it's terrible.
Yes, and that is can happen. Now you're younger for these cataracts to develop. Sometimes having had retinal surgery can hasten cataract development in your right eye, but it's interesting you had it in your left eye as well. They take out the lens and they break it up with, sonic energy, and they vacuum it out through a sutureless. They basically make a very tiny, a micro incision, put in a vacuum, sort of emulsify that lens, vacuum it out, and then they put a little taco intraocular implant. So a lens replacement that comes in a little folded taco kind of shape, and then it sucks in through the incision and opens up inside, and it's sutureless. It's self-sealing because that incision is so tiny. Very, very interesting. Let's take a quick moment to talk about something that could truly elevate your practice. Hoya Vision Care is not just about delivering exceptional service. They're committed to helping you grow with cutting-edge lens technology that sets you apart. Take Hoya's MyoSmart lenses, for example. They're a breakthrough in myopia management for children. Safe, non-invasive, backed by over 90 scientific publications and 8 years of clinical data, the longest-running study of its kind for spectacle lenses. And they're built for real life, with all-in-one solutions like chameleon photochromic lenses for comfort indoors and out, full control coating for blue light filtering and antibacterial protection. The results speak volumes. After 8 years, wearers show an average myopia progression of less than a half a diopter. That's confidence through evidence, and why MyoSmart is the smart choice for your young patients and for your practice. Partner with Hoya. Lead with innovation. Grow with confidence. So all of a sudden you went from being a high myope to being able to see clearly without glasses.
In one eye.
Yes.
So that was an interesting time. And I remember the time that I had to come and see you because I was camping with my daughter somewhere on the West Coast, and we were running low on water. So I was washing my hands to put my contact in. I've got all the soap off, so I thought, put the contact in, and then we're driving home, and all of a sudden there's like severe burning. I'm like, I didn't take the soap off. And so that by that point, the damage has been done. I've hurt my eye, and had to come in to see you for emergency treatment there. And I think you made a call upstairs to Dr. Ramstead to go, hey, let's this guy's needing this eye done, and
let's get the other eye done. Yes. So I think that's probably what happened, because the retinal surgery, it hastens the cataract formation in your right eye, and then ultimately to balance you up, we do the left eye. It's also annoying to weigh one contact and wake up sort of lopsided.
Exactly.
It's important for us as optometrists. We're trying to teach our whole team to understand these complexities of understanding anatomy and solutions. What's an emergency? What can wait a day or two? So there's a lot of training that goes on, and we encourage our colleagues to spend some time training your teams because people come into the industry, they haven't had the education I've had on eye care, and we need to transfer that because we've got a huge team. Like, we've got 60 plus on our team that we need to raise that level of knowledge so that they're empathetic, but also they know when to be very proactive and get that patient in. Like, we want to see you if it's threatening your vision, and we can do something about it right away. So that's an important factor for sure. Want to talk a little bit about contact lenses as well. Studies have shown that fitting younger patients with contact lenses is a good way to go. And in fact, there are special contact lenses that mitigate myopia as well, which are really quite interesting. So there are glasses that can reduce myopia progression. So you can have glasses that you can wear that you can see, but also slow down myopia. You can use drops, like you said, with your daughter, atropine drops, to decrease the impetus for axial length growth or increase myopia, and also contact lenses that are specially designed to slow down axial length. And basically the thesis in a sort of a nutshell is peripheral defocus. Like, as the light focuses on your macular area, the peripheral, if there's too much defocus there, it causes the axial length to grow and increasing myopia. So we used to tell our patients, hey, glasses aren't going to make your eyes worse, but that wasn't always true. That's what we knew at the time. But now we don't say that. We say, hey, listen, your myopia can get worse in certain circumstances. And if you want to slow it down, you need these specialized myopia management glasses that are different in the periphery of your retina. It changes the defocus. So that's the physics and science behind that. Is there anything you've changed since you've had, cataract surgery with your sports or hobbies or anything like that?
No, not so much. It's just everyday life is so much simpler. There's not that time where you're like, oh, I got to go to bed, and then it's like, oh yeah, I got to wash my hands, take a contact out, take the other contact out, and so on. My vision is so good too. I mean, as I had the cataracts develop, my vision got worse and worse. And so when that second surgery happened, oh my God, it was amazing. I don't know, it was a week after I was driving a busload of kids in Whistler just before spring break. And so I'm driving this bus with like 15 kids. It's snowing like you can't believe. I'm the only bus on the road, and you can't see the lines on the road, so you don't know exactly where you're going, except you could see where the plow had pushed it up. And I was so thankful that I'd had that surgery because my vision was fantastic. I saw so much. And yeah, it would have been a much scarier ride if I was just, using contacts with bad eyes. So
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's amazing. And also the color perception when you get your cataract lens out, because it becomes dull and also yellow a little bit. You get bright, whiter whites, if you will. Did you notice that?
oh my God, absolutely. Yeah, it was crazy how, because you could see they put the thing over your eye, except it's not a solid thing. It's like crisscrosses in it. And so you can like see through it and you're like, oh my God. Yeah. I'm looking out the window. Do you see how green those plants are? And so it was cool. Very cool.
That's awesome. I know do you know what high index lenses are?
Yeah.
So this is thinner lenses in glasses, right? So in order to reduce the edge thickness for a myope, because it's a concave lens, so it's sort of thicker on the outside. You'll know this as a physics teacher, and a myope. It's thicker on the outside. So sometimes we don't want too big of a frame because it's thicker on the edge, and it's not cosmetically appealing. So we encourage our patients to choose a high index material, which allows a thinner lens material. One of the challenges with that is sometimes that can not give you impact resistance and it can damage. I've had a patient that lost his eye from a grind, something shot up, hit his spectacle lenses that were super high index and cut his eye actually, and he lost that eye. Sadly, he went blind from that eye, and it just reminded me to tell every single patient that's choosing high index lenses that they're not impact resistant. And we encourage, if you're doing some high risk activity like grinding high speeds, we try to remind everybody, hey, listen, there's risk to these glasses. They're not safety glasses.
Yes. Yes.
How does your daughter view glasses wearing now? Curiously.
Oh, she's blaming me. Because of course it's just a genetic part of it. She's okay. We were at the Cobble Hill store on Tuesday, just trying on the frames for the last time and put the order in. So on the one hand, she's kind of excited to get them, and on the other hand, she's like, God, I hope I don't end up like Dad. So yeah.
Luckily, though, now and we counsel our patients that there's a lot more options available than when you started out as a myope, like a ton more cosmetic appealing options, other ways to slow down myopia. So I think that's the other thing that's important for my colleagues is just to remember to discuss it. It's actually standard of care now to discuss these things with our patients so they can decide if they want myopic mitigation strategies, or myopia management. So things have changed in eye care from back then to now, and we've had to adapt the way we instruct our patients and discuss that with our patients. And a lot of times, like you said before, you'd go through life and just not wear glasses and just kind of not see, and that is so disconcerting. I know at the beach, even as an eye doctor, I didn't wear my glasses because I didn't want the waves to hit me in Maui, and then I got pushed away down the waterway a little bit, and I'll look back and I didn't know where my family was. I was so embarrassed as an eye doctor to not be able to see, but those things happen.
Yeah, well, that reminds me. I used to do a lot of windsurfing, and I would be out at NitNat, and I would have to decide: am I gonna see for a while and then have my glasses encrusted in salt, or am I just gonna go out kind of half blind? And yeah, I still remember like the things that would attach your glasses at the back, hoping they wouldn't fall off.
Yeah, it's a bit scary, and being super myopic. If you're in NitNat, that's a sort of waterway where the wind blows through. You could get blown anywhere, to be honest, and not know where you are.
Exactly.
Where's shore? Where is it? It's a dangerous situation.
Yes, it is.
It's amazing if you don't have them, how like literally lost you are. And if you're not myopic, you don't really understand what we're talking about. When you're myopic, like you've been and I am, it's a necessity. It's probably the thing if it is a fire, you're taking your glasses.
Oh
with
yeah.
you.
Oh, like you said earlier, and I'd forgotten. Like those are literally that's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning is you grab your glasses and put them on, because otherwise you can't see anything. And,
Yeah.
and I remember as well the university days. I remember you'd be waiting for the bus. The bus would arrive. Of course, it's a little bit cold out. The bus is hot and humid. You'd get in there and it's instant fog on your glasses. You can't see anything. So you take them off. You still can't see anything because you're myopic. And you're like, oh God. So you'd stand until you could sort of figure out where you might be able to sit down without causing a problem.
It's true, and you take it for granted, like I say, being able to see when you can see the rain, the snow, the fog. And it's amazing. The leading cause of blindness worldwide, okay, is uncorrected refractive error. So there are people that could see 20/20, could see very well, and they are not. They're classified as blind merely because they don't have glasses.
Oh, I remember you telling me that. You said to me one time, you're like, yeah, with your prescription, if it's uncorrected, you're legally blind.
Yeah, exactly. And it is. I mean, you would choose sometimes maybe not to wear that correction, knowing that you could get it and get back to doing things like be able to drive and those type of things. But there's some people that are functioning right now in the world without access to eye care or eyewear, which is sad. It's one of those sort of human rights. I believe that, the right to see the best you can, I think would be, it's certainly, as an educator, you can understand how important it is to see. Do you notice any kids in your classroom struggling?
Yeah, I had one the other day. She was squinting at the board, and I'm like, "Hey, yeah." I said, "Cause I teach teenagers, and so you kind of have to be careful what you say." And so I said, "Hey, you might need glasses." And she goes, "I've got some right here. I just don't like to wear them." Like, that's. Yeah, so, oh no, all the time. You can see kids at the back doing this, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to do the diagnosis from the front of the room, but it's like, yeah, you probably need to see an eye doctor or at least wear your glasses. So.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsors. I'm thrilled to share an exciting new resource for professionals in the eye health industry, Eye Care Collective. Eye Care Collective is redefining collaboration and growth in our industry. Whether you're a clinic owner, optician, or an eye care professional, this platform empowers you with the tools you need to streamline your operations and elevate your success. As a member, you'll enjoy the benefits of consolidated billing, access to competitive pre-negotiated discounts, and programs tailored to support the unique needs of your practice. If you're ready to amplify your impact in the world of eye care, visit www.eyecarecollective.ca and find out how Eye Care Collective can support your journey to success. You probably do a good job of capturing contact lens sales after seeing a patient. But what happens when they use up their initial supply? Yes, your patients love you, but at refill time, they're probably just taking the path of least resistance to restock their lenses, going online or to the big box stores. These missed opportunities add up to tens of thousands of dollars leaking out of your business. That's where Auto comes in. Auto allows you to be that path of least resistance. Otto is the easiest way for eye care practices to stay engaged with patients and offer them a frictionless way to order their contact lenses and dry eye products from you rather than from your competitors. Timely refill reminders and one-click reorders offer patients an unbeatable purchasing experience. And on the back end, Otto is integrated directly with your suppliers to allow for uber-efficient order management and fulfillment, saving valuable staff time. Over 600 clinics across Canada and the U.S. are already using Otto to reclaim lost sales and simplify their workflow. Want to learn more? Check out their website at ottooptics.io. That's OTTO optics.io. Sell more, do less with Otto. Yeah. It's certainly teachers are often great referral sources for us because they do notice, that's when mine was in grade 8 when I first got glasses, and I was writing things wrong on the board, and I actually didn't put 2 and 2 together that I couldn't see. I blamed the teacher, of course. I thought it was, teachers like you writing poorly. It wasn't me. Why are you writing so small?
Exactly. Well, it's funny now because I use it's Microsoft OneNote where I write on the tablet. It's projected on the screen, and the kids have access to it. So sometimes I'll have kids with their iPads in their desk. It's the strangest thing. So their iPads are on their desk with OneNote open. They can see on their iPad what I'm writing, and so they'll copy the notes down. So they don't even actually have to look at the board. They just look at their tablet. Which again, that may not be the greatest thing either, right? For long-term vision health.
Yeah, that's 100%. It's interesting. There's a lot of mitigation strategies. One of them is not staring for too long at a converged posture. So you don't want to stare at a computer for more than 20 minutes at a time without looking up. And relaxing your accommodation, we call it, like relaxing your eyes. You can go back. So we have the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, you look out 20 feet for 20 seconds. Let your eyes relax. Then you can go back. So you're taking like a little bit of a visual break. Even Apple has sort of started to create pieces to remind you, in workplaces to relax your eyes, to look away. So that's quite interesting. The other piece as well to reduce myopia is to go outside for 2 hours a day. So we're saying children especially should go outside, and that is a reduction of myopia strategy. My sister-in-law is a school teacher, and she started that nature kindergarten program on Vancouver Island where they take the kids out, walk outside, have some schooling, and then sort of walk back to the main building. I think that is a good strategy, especially for younger kids.
Absolutely. I had an interesting thing. So I had a bunch of surgery when I was 16, and I was literally bedridden for 4 months. And so from like March to June, I was essentially in the living room of the house. And I think back and I'm like, especially hearing about the 2 hours and so on. I think back and I'm like, I wonder if that had an impact on what my eyes did. It's an unanswerable question, but it's just one of those things I ponder occasionally.
Yeah, I mean, it could certainly have done if you were just staring at like a computer screen or just things up close, and not getting outside. Certainly that does have an impact for sure. So yeah, getting outside. And then for those myopes that we detect using specialty glasses, there's different companies, Essilor, Hoya, Zeiss, they all have their version of myopia management spectacle lens, and then specialty contact lenses that reduce the impetus for axial length growth. So atropine, glasses or contact lenses are all strategies. Sometimes they're combined together because people want to play sports and do other things. So you sometimes wearing glasses, sometimes wearing contacts, but they're specifically designed to reduce myopia.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And it's, what's really interesting, and this is, you can measure the axial length. So we could have every child come in, measure their axial length, and then chart it to see their risk for myopia. So they could be what we call emmetropic. They could have perfect vision, but have high myopia risk based on their genetics, their parents, their axial length. So theoretically, you could take somebody that's perfect 20/20 vision, use a myopia mitigation strategy and reduce the chances of them getting myopia. Now they have to wear glasses or contact lenses or atropine drops to reduce the axial length potential growth, but they'll end up less or not myopic as they finish their growing. So that's a really fascinating area as to how proactive you get. But we can now measure axial length on everybody, which is very, very interesting.
Wow. Yeah. So it's essentially wearing glasses so that you don't have to for the rest of your life after that.
Exactly. There's a genetic component as well. So if both parents were myopic, then there's a higher chance that the child would be myopic.
Right.
Okay, so there's all these risk factors, let's call it, including ethnicity, including the parents' prescriptions and their axial length and all those things that can go into what your risk is. But I think more and more clinics are starting to look at that risk profile for patients, for kids, and let the parents know this is the risk. Get your child outside, these type of things at the very least, and check regularly to see where you are on the growth chart, because that's the other thing that happens. Kids grow so quickly, as you know, and their eyes change with that. And so with your daughter's myopia, what are your thoughts? So she's 12. So what grade is she in?
She just started grade 8.
Yeah. So it's around the same time as you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Interestingly. Yeah. And that's a little bit later. So you were fairly, do you remember your prescription?
When before my cataract surgery,
Yeah.
it was like minus 13. It was.
Yeah, that's high.
Well, I didn't realize, I think it was Dr. Unterberger said that it can actually start accelerating after you go much past that. And I had no idea, thank God. It was bad.
Yeah, that's a high prescription. That's a particularly high prescription to have it start so later in grade 8. So we have some kids that are in grade 2 that are myopic, and that's a bad sign too. You went to a high number, like a high prescription of myopia, and just started in grade. So you must have had rapid changes as you went.
Well, it wasn't. It was just, I think, continual changes. I went and got my first glasses and a little bit every year. And I remember, I think it was you that said, yeah, you're going to level off here at any moment. And I never did. It was just like, oh yeah, we got to correct it a little bit. And then it did, thank God, finally stop. But yeah, it was pretty wild there at the end. It was, like I say, it was all contact lenses, and at home I'd put in glasses because then it didn't matter whether I couldn't see out of my peripheral.
Yeah, I remember those little glasses that you had. We'd never see you out at parties or anything wearing those glasses.
Oh no. And I was thinking the other thing as well is I used to play squash a little bit, and there was a couple of times where I had to wear glasses during the day for whatever reason, and I'd put my contacts in right before the squash game, and the thing that I didn't anticipate was how much the depth perception would change. And my already bad squash game got way worse because I just swing and miss the ball. It was either past me or not at me yet, and I'd swing and miss. So that was another complication with contacts and glasses.
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. I mean, it's a thing, right? You want to not be so nearsighted there, and it's back to that pathological myopia you're speaking of. So let's say you continue to become myopic, then your retina continually becomes thin, and there's pathology associated with that. So you can't go on forever and stretch that balloon, if you will, too far, because and for some reason, some people continue to grow their axial length, even, post 20. And that's probably what I told you. Well, you should be, 25 years old, you should be where you're at, because the actual trend as you get older, so in your 40s and 50s, is to become less myopic.
Oh, interesting.
So you go a little bit back, but there's a few outliers, and you were one of them, that became more progressively myopic. And that is what we absolutely don't want. We don't want that, because things like retinal detachments you're at risk for. So It's great that it was caught. It's great that you had cataract surgery and now you can see without glasses. So that's super cool.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
You're like every other old 50 something that needs reading glasses, right?
Well, and that was one of the choices I had. They were like, we can cut your prescription down a bit with the cataract or with the new lenses, and you won't see distance quite as well, and you might need glasses a bit. And I'm like, oh no, I want to see full distance, full blast. I don't mind wearing reading glasses. They're easy. If you forget them, it doesn't matter. So.
Yeah, I mean, there is some advantage. That's really interesting, so a low myope potentially has the ability to see up close without reading glasses for their whole life. They are nearsighted, so they've got near sight. If you're neutral, if you can see perfectly far away, at a certain age, you become presbyopic in your 40s and 50s, and you lose your accommodation and you need reading glasses. So a myope has some benefits, but we don't want it to go too high where it becomes a pathological risk for them in terms of retinal detachment and other pathologies there.
Yeah, that was actually that's one thing I miss is that if I had something close to my eye, it was like super clear and super big. And of course now I need like a big magnifying glass to see things up close, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Well, for you, it's amazing. And like you say, there's a lot of emotional and lifestyle impacts of myopia. There's and I just want to summarize the sort of key findings for the listeners here. So, if you're myopic and you continue to become myopic, there's emotional and lifestyle impacts, including sports, including cosmetics of your glasses, including not being able to wear glasses because it can affect your vision. Early intervention can prevent serious outcomes. So we want to detect myopia early. There is actually, Stu, no time that's too soon for your child's first eye exam. 6 months we recommend. We recommend yearly after that. We can detect it whether the child is verbal or not. We can prescribe glasses in quite an accurate fashion without a subjective refraction, without the patient or the child saying better one or better two. We can prescribe glasses if so necessary, and we can detect and measure axial length and how it's growing over the years. And, we can see through a patient's eyes if they're adhering or if the strategy is working, and then we could change the strategy based on how their axial length is and their prescription. So these mitigation strategies, and we can adjust them over time. So that's why we call it a myopia management program, because It isn't one size fits all. We have to just see what's working for that particular patient, because every patient sort of responds differently. That's why sometimes it's contacts, sometimes it's atropine and contacts, sometimes it's spectacle lenses specifically for myopia management.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Is there anything that you wanted to ask, or you had any thoughts before we wind up?
You mentioned ethnicity and myopia. I had no idea. What's the relation there?
Yeah, there's certain ethnicities, particularly Asian, that are more myopic. So they're saying right now we have a myopia epidemic. For instance, in Singapore, 98% of people are myopic. It's nuts. In the 90s in Indonesia, in these Asian countries, a lot of myopia. So it just depends. We're not 100% sure why that is, though we think possibly kids aren't getting outside as much, and they're focused on near activity like iPads and computer screens, and that is causing their axial length to grow because of the accommodative pieces. So they're learning more and more about this. Like I said, when I started, there was nothing about myopia management. Just prescribe the glasses, check their prescription, prescribe what they got, and have them back next year, and then up the prescription. But now we're learning more that that's not the strategy, and being able to chart that. So I think the World Health Organization has declared myopia an epidemic because some of these countries that have such a high level of myopia. And the one good thing about that is we've been able to study it much better to see what mitigation strategies are working, and that's become the standard of care now for myopia. So it's a whole area where even on the myopia management front, we've got 10 docs. We have a couple that are expert in that. So if I have a young myope now, I'll refer to my colleagues at Couch and Eye Care to manage the myopia because I'm concentrating on dry eye as my specialty or glaucoma as my specialty rather than myopia. Used to be myopia is easy. Here's some glasses. Here you go. But it's a lot more complex now. But those Asian ethnicities are definitely a risk factor. Parents that are myopic are a risk factor. Inside or outside, near work, all those things, risk factors.
Yeah, I'm super happy that there are treatments available, so that my daughter may not have to go through what I did. Not that what I went through is like horrible, but if she can avoid it, that'd be outstanding.
The biggest risk to me are not only not being able to see very well, but it's like retinal detachment. Now, thankfully, we caught you and we sealed it. But I've had a number of patients lose their vision from retinal detachment without a doubt. I mean, that happens. It's regular practice where people get a retinal detachment, and we call it idiopathic, Stu, which we don't know why that happens, but particularly for myopes, we know that the retina is thinner. It could have been that volleyball that hit you. It could be traumatic. I would recommend you don't bungee jump, for instance. Do too many, sudden swings that would cause a concussive force on your retina. But otherwise, you're basically free to do things. And I think it's just good to protect your eyes in general. I've talked to you about mountain biking and sunglasses and protective eyewear, and take care of them. I know you're not listening. You're like,
I definitely, I know, I'm totally listening. I'm like, God, I got to take his advice one of these days because, I definitely should.
You take my advice 50% of the time. You're doing pretty good. So.
Exactly.
Well, that's good. Well, I want to thank you, Stu, for taking the time to share your story as a patient and as an educator and as someone that has had some risks to their eyes and come out the other side. And thanks for joining us on Optometry Unleashed. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's been great. It's been fun chatting with you. And as I said, you're asking me about what you guys can do to improve the care, and I can't think of anything, honestly.
Yeah, awesome. I owe you a beer next time I see you. Thanks for joining us. And thanks to all our listeners at Optometry Unleashed. If you have a suggestion for a guest, please reach out to us. And love to hear your comments in the comments section, and like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on Optometry Unleashed. I'm Trevor Miranda.